In this module, you will get an overview of the story, The Address by Marga Minko. Marga Minko, born on 31 March 1920, is a Dutch journalist and writer. Her real surname was Menko, but an official accidentally switched the first vowel. Minko published her first book in the year 1957, in which a nameless character goes through war experiences reminiscent of the author's. An overview of the story. The story is about a lady, possibly the author herself, who, after losing her entire family, returns to the address in order to collect all her family's possessions that the author's mother had left with Mrs. Darling, a non Jewish lady, before leaving her homeland. The story is about the human predicament that follows the war. The characters involved in the story are Mrs. S, the narrator's mother, Mrs. S's daughter, the narrator and the protagonist, Mrs. Darling, and Mrs. Darling's daughter. The story narrates how a daughter goes to her native place in Holland in search of her mother's belongings after the war. The narrator, curious of her possessions, visits the given address. At the beginning of the story, it is narrated how the protagonist was given a cold reception. The first visit. After the war, the narrator wanted to take back the possessions that must still be at number 46 Marconi Street. With this intention, she went to the given address. It took a long time for the narrator to visit that address, as she was afraid of being confronted to things which would evoke memories of her past. After ringing the bell of house number 46 in Marconi Street, a woman opened the door. On being introduced, the woman kept staring at her in silence. There was no sign of recognition on her face. The narrator identified that the woman was wearing her mother's green knitted cardigan. The narrator could understand that she had made no mistake. She asked the woman whether she knew her mother. Now, the woman could not deny. The narrator wanted to talk to her for some time, but the woman cautiously closed the door. The narrator stopped there for some time and then left the place. Memories of the narrator. In the subsequent sections, the memories of the narrator's bygone days come to light. Once, when the narrator went to her home, she found that various things were missing. When inquired, her mother told her about Mrs. Darling, who happened to be her old acquaintance. Lately, she had renewed contact with her and made frequent visits. Every time she left their house, she took something with her. According to Mrs. Darling, her intention is to save all their nice possessions. Since the war had broken out, the narrator's family might have to escape to a safe place, abandoning all their possessions. The next day, the narrator saw Mrs. Darling going out of their house with a heavy suitcase. She had a fleeting glimpse of Mrs. Darling's face. Curious to know, the narrator collects the address from her mother. The second visit. The concluding part of the story describes the second visit of the narrator. As the narrator's first visit yielded no result, she planned to go once again. Interestingly, a girl of 15 opened the door. her mother was not at home. The narrator expressed her wish to wait for her. The narrator was horrified to find herself in a room with articles familiar to her, but she can't claim. She found herself in the midst of familiar things which she longed to see again, but strange atmosphere troubled her. She had no courage to look around her. She suddenly lost the desire to possess them. She resolved to forget the address and moved on. The story clearly brings to light the fact that holding on to the past can be an extremely painful exercise. It goes without saying that forgetting the moments and the experiences that torment you can be a really frightening task. But once you accept your past wholeheartedly, you tend to get a big weight off your back. The author, despite being attached to memories of her past, had the courage to leave them behind in order to make a fresh beginning. The Address by Margamenko is indeed an inspiring story which sheds an adequate amount of light on the importance of letting things go. It further echoes that both past and future are illusions, and all we have with us is the present. Thank you.